Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bridesville Justice Movement, the podcast. My name is Zachary Mallory, and I am the founder and the host of the Bridesville Justice Movement and the Bridesville Justice Movement, the podcast. Today, I'll give a viewer discretion is advised due to the nature of the topics that we will be discussing. All right, so on this podcast and in this movement, we're no stranger to independent music artists. My co-founder Gwen, shout out to Gwen Levy of Gwen Levy and Breakdown, is one of my co-founders, and she's been on this podcast a couple different times. We do a weekly show, and now I'm going to introduce another incredible artist, Sami Siteman. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful, truly, to be here and to get to talk to you and talk about my music and music in general and how it heals in so many ways and how we can inspire people to keep getting out there and keep going through music, whatever that means to them. So I'm
Because
really excited.
music is a beautiful thing. It's an art form, and the true aspect of it is there's no right or wrong way to do it as long as it means something to you. Now,
100%.
people are critical whenever it comes to music. Oh, you're not this, you're not that. Your voice is like this, when it should really be like this. People are very critical of music, but I would love for you to kind of like dive in and talk about, who you are, what your story is, and how it influences you to create music. And we'll dive into a couple of titles of your music because they have a meaning behind it, specifically one that you've like recently released, which we'll talk about, and just give us a backstory on why you began writing music. And another, actually, I'll ask that as a follow-up question. Let's focus on this part, and then we'll dive in and talk. I have one more like second part to this question,
Sure.
but let's dive in and talk about who you are and what your story is.
Yeah. So my name is Sami Siteman. I am a singer-songwriter, originally from Agora Hills, which is a suburb of LA, now based out of Santa Barbara, California. So I'm still in Southern California, just a little bit further north. Um, I have been singing since I could talk, literally. I have been writing music probably since I was about 10 or 12 years old. I think my first like real memory of writing a song was my friend and I, we had done a play in elementary school, and we took the melody of one of the songs from the play and rewrote it as a thank you song for our teacher. And I feel like that's one of my earliest memories of like really writing lyrics. We obviously didn't write the melody of that song, but it was kind of my introduction to like writing in general. Um, and then as I started, like middle school and high school, I started really just like finding a home in songwriting, like writing both melodies and lyrics. Um, so we're going to dive into this a little bit later, but like I personally experienced a lot of mental health struggles, particularly in high school, probably in middle school too, but I just, hadn't really realized it yet. But really, like throughout high school, I really kind of struggled with a lot of different things, and we'll touch on that shortly. But I really found a home in songwriting, in really just like expressing myself. And I cannot tell you how. So I just turned 29. And I can't tell you how grateful I am for the outlet that I have in music. I always say, like, I truly do write my music and I write my songs because I have to express something. It helps me process my emotions in a way that no other modality I've found has ever really enabled me to do. It feels like somebody asked me recently, like, if I write my songs as a reflection, like after I've already processed, or like if I, process afterwards. And honestly, I think writing, the act of actually creating the song, helps me go from unprocessed emotions to like at least more processed. I don't want to say fully all the time, but it truly helps me process my emotions, whether that be through heartbreak, through happiness, through grief. Like through mental health struggles, everything, or activism and all the things that are going on in the world. Like, it just allows me a place to express myself. So that's why I create music. That is why I feel just like called to do this for myself. I create music truly because I feel like I need to express something, but I share it because I know what music has done for me in my life. I share it because all of my favorite artists have released music that like has gotten me through the hardest and also best times of my entire life. I share my music because music has inspired me to like do so many different things and has like been the soundtrack of my life literally. And so that's for me, those are kind of like the two dimensions of my music creation and sharing. And like the creation truly I do for me because it just means so much to me and I need to express myself. But what I choose to share truly is because I want to connect with other people and help other people the same way that everybody else's music has always done for me. It just, music is such a universal language, I think, and it's so, so beautiful and powerful and can truly move. I really feel like it can move mountains. Sometimes I get a little bit of like imposter syndrome, like, oh my gosh, I'm just like writing a song, like what am I doing? I'm not doing enough to help. And granted, just writing a song is not enough to help. There's plenty of other things I try to do also to actually help out more with what's going on, but I have to remind myself also that like this is my biggest lane in this, in activism and in life in general. Like, music is where I feel the most at home and where I can feel like I can make the biggest impact. And so that's what I really try to do with it. So I guess, sorry, that was such a tangent. I know we said we'd ramble. I'm a rambler, so
I think by now, people on this podcast and people listening to this podcast are very, very used to it because this is not your typical style of podcast. Typically a lot of podcasts, and this isn't calling them out, everybody does it differently,
sure,
but it's
sure.
more of like we're like the long form content versus short form. And
Mm-hmm.
we believe in authentic conversations and getting to the root cause of a lot of issues. Most recently, you released a song titled Why Do You Care? And I know that there's things that went into this, and I would love for you to kind of like dive in and talk about why do you care? And then also the meaning and the purpose behind this song. I'm getting ready to listen to this myself. I'm actually excited. I'll listen to it on my way home today.
Hey.
Um, but it seems like you do similar things as my co-founder does. I mentioned at the very beginning, she's an independent music artist herself,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and she turns her rage and her pain and everything into music. And she's been doing it ever
Mm-hmm.
since she was a child, just like you. There's a lot of
Yep.
similarities. And I would love for you to talk about what the purpose behind this song specifically is and what has been the feedback about this song specifically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sorry if I was smiling weird just now. My husband was outside waving at me, trying not to. um, yes. So, yes. Okay. So, why do you care? So, funny enough, I actually wrote this song in 2020. Most of it, at least. I didn't write. I changed the last chorus. Originally, the last chorus was going to be a repeat of the first chorus. But I changed the last chorus within the last maybe 6 or 7 months, um, to be more applicable to what's going on today.
Mhm.
But I did actually write this song in 2020, particularly when George Floyd had been killed. Um, and so, not just about that situation, but just, over the last 10 years, there's been so many uh, rights and safeties that have been taken away from so many people. Um, and like, social justice is extremely important to me in everything, honestly, in every aspect of my life. Like, I am a part of the DEI committee at my day job. I care about, I like make a monthly donation to the ACLU. Like, I'm not saying any of these things to be like, oh, like, cool me, but just to say, like, I truly am passionate about this. It genuinely means a lot to me to ensure that like everybody, no matter their race, their sexuality, their gender expression, like anything, feels like they belong here and like they are included and that they matter because they do. And so truly, like that is just something that has always mattered a lot to me. Um, but I realized that I had never actually said that explicitly in my music. I hope that people have, previously to now, I hope that people have seen that in my heart. And, I'm not shy about posting things on social media, reposting and sharing my thoughts and feelings, and sharing resources and stuff like that too. I've always done that, but I had never actually released a song that was really explicitly about social justice and was like really activism focused. And so, well, of course, it can be a little scary because inevitably there's backlash from people, which I actually have a funny story about. I mean, it's not really funny, but what I've turned it into is, I think, funny. So we'll get back to it. But all to say, I really, really, really was just like, you know what? Like, if not now, like when there's so many horrible things going on in this country right now, like when am I going to release this? And like, who's going to do it? I need to do it. Like, so I basically was just like, you know what? I've had this song sitting in my notes folder for 6 years. I need to create it. I need to release it. And so that's what I did. And I'm really proud of it. I really am. I I truly, my goal with that song really was to just continue to inspire people to keep fighting and to not give up hope in the fight for literally just everyone's rights, which should just be so basic. I mean, it seems so simple to me that everyone deserves just equal access to healthcare and, to safety and, all of these different things. But obviously, in the crazy scenario of our country at this moment, that's not the case for a lot of people. And so, yeah, I just felt really called to. I actually wasn't. So, I'm actually working on an album right now. It's called Welcome to My Brain. It's my debut album that I'm working on. And this whole album, the concept is it's mental health, it's my own experience with mental health, experience like challenges and triumphs, it's my observations of other people's experiences, and it's the way I think, and it's how I think, and the beliefs that have shaped me. And so that piece is kind of where this song fits on that album. Honestly, until a couple months ago, I actually wasn't really planning on releasing Why Do You Care as a single. I was just going to have it as a part of the album. And I just decided, you know what? We have just, things have been too far forever. Things have been too far for 10 years. But I got to a point where I was like, you know what? This needs to be released right now. There's just a lot going on. And I really want to add my voice into the mix. Just really, honestly, if not even to inspire people, I hope to inspire people to keep resisting and to keep fighting for the rights that everybody deserves. But if nothing more, to tell folks in historically marginalized groups that I am an ally and truly am there to support them. Like, just I'm not afraid to speak about it, to share about it. So that was kind of what Why Do You Care was born out of. Truly, honestly, when I wrote it, and still today, it was born out of my frustration. Like I said, I write when I'm really needing to express something. And the first line of the song is, why do you care what anyone else does? Your beliefs aren't everyone's. And I just was so frustrated with, like, white evangelical Christian nationalists basically deciding that their beliefs needed to be everyone else's in the country, when that's absolutely not the foundation of the Constitution and is not the way things should be here. So truly that was kind of like what started that, and each chorus kind of has its own group to shine a light on. The first is the LGBTQ plus community. The second, oh my gosh, I'm like forgetting the lyrics of my own song. People do. The second is bodily autonomy and reproductive rights. which is another very important thing to me. Um, I it is insane to me that there are so many restrictions against particularly like cis women's, actually just women in general, but particularly cis women's like reproductive rights in this country, and how significantly disparate people's rights are, women's rights are in state to state, where in most states men's rights, healthcare wise at least, are approximately the same across the country. So that's insane to me. So that's verse 2. And verse 3 is about all of the garbage that ICE has been doing, particularly over the last. I mean, I know it's actually been happening for a long time, but particularly the horrors that have been happening over the last year or two. That's what the third verse is about, and the bridge kind of ties in the aspect of race and how folks who aren't white have been so marginalized in this country for so long, and how our history is very whitewashed. In fact, that's like literally the lyric. My lyric literally is like, the history that we've been taught has often been, or is often completely whitewashed. Like that's the lyric there, because it's so true. It's so true. And you know, if people aren't taught the real history, people can't change it. You know, we're bound to repeat it, especially when we're not taught the real history. So yeah, I just think it's so important to make people question, and to really think like, the crux of that song truly, again, is just, it was my frustration of being like, why does somebody else get to decide my healthcare decisions? Why does somebody else get to decide if my friend who's gay gets to get married? I mean, that's just absurd to me. Additionally, particularly actually on the healthcare piece, so I'm actually Jewish. I'm not very religious, but I'm more like culturally Jewish. I'm literally 100% ethically Jewish. Um, and I learned once that in Judaism, abortion is actually the recommended case of action when the mother's life is in danger. So if my religion, again, I'm not super religious, but if my religion is saying, actually, this is the recommended course of action, why does someone else's religion get to determine the legality of my actions, since we live in a country where supposedly we have freedom of religion? So it's just, that was kind of the whole concept of this song, really. Was just, you know, live your own life, choose what you want to do with your own life, and no one else gets to choose. Like, you don't get to restrict other people's rights and access to things just because it's not how you want to live your life. If you don't want to have an abortion, don't have one. Like, you know? And it's the crazier thing to me too, particularly with abortion, is so many people don't realize how many abortions actually are, like, sometimes not even, you know, they're people who wanted to have a child, who chose to, you know, have a child, and then they have a health problem and they cannot continue the pregnancy, or it's not a viable pregnancy, right? And so many people, I think, you know, I think people should be able to decide their healthcare right. Like, people should absolutely get rights no matter what. But it's just crazy to me how even so many people who talk about, you know, sometimes people talk about even like, oh, well, miscarriages don't count. But people don't realize, actually, like, a D&C, when people are getting healthcare for a miscarriage, literally is the same thing as an abortion. Like, it's the same thing. And now doctors across the country can't even perform that. You know, so yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I think Roe v. Wade set us back many years, you know, 50
Totally.
plus years.
Totally.
And thinking about that, it's like, how far back are we actually willing to go? Right. And it makes you wonder, because now going after birthright citizenship, right? Going after, you know,
Mm-hmm.
voting rights. You know, the SAVE Act was a very big focus for a lot of
Totally.
people, because that would prohibit people like my mom from not being able to vote.
Yep.
So, with that being talked about, with that
Mm-hmm.
just everything that you said absolutely resonates. But I want to dive in a little bit and talk about some mental health. So
Yeah.
I was diagnosed with CPTSD, which is not currently recognized by the APA, by the American
Mm.
Psychological Association, as a
Really?
diagnosable like PTSD is, but the C. So
Mm.
the cumulative or complex, whichever you want to, kind of
Sure.
like use it, because I've had multiple traumatic experiences. But
Mm-hmm.
CPTSD is currently not recognized in the United States by the American Psychological Association and will not be a
Wow.
part of the DSM-6 whenever it comes out because they do
Wow.
not see it as a diagnosable diagnosis, right?
Wow.
PTSD is, which, obviously veterans, survivors, and not to say everybody, but, the at risk populations,
Yeah.
trauma absolutely exists. And I was diagnosed with CPT or diagnosed with PTSD. And then at the age of 25, I was having a conversation with my therapist at that time. And she was like, "Were you ever diagnosed with autism?" And I said, "No." And she's like, "Well, I believe you're on like we did like a whole like series of like conversations, series of like, like different testing, like different things like that." And she was like, "Well, you're on the lower end of the spectrum." And I looked at her and I said, "That makes so much sense now.
Mm.
It makes so much sense. It makes a lot of sense. And it explains my childhood."
Mm.
But it was something that was overlooked whenever I was going to my therapy appointments whenever I was in like middle and like high school. And
Mm-hmm.
it was overlooked at my doctors. It was just really overlooked. But it makes entire sense for
Mm.
why I have a keen of like focusing on things, like I was very defiant as a child. I mean, I still am, but, you know, 29 years old, I'll be 30 in August. But,
Mm-hmm.
who's counting, right? Who's paying attention to that? Not me. But reducing stigma around mental health, music can absolutely heal. Music can help, express a lot of those emotions. I have friends
Mm-hmm.
that are music therapists, like they use music as a way of helping their clients get through some rough shit. I mean,
Totally.
because music is just healing. It heals the soul. It's soothing. I listen to, well, shameless plug again. My co-founder Gwen's music. Obviously, I'll be listening to yours,
Thank you.
but listening to a lot of other just different genres. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, reducing the stigma around mental health because mental health is still incredibly taboo to talk
Totally.
about. There's
Totally.
still a lot of stigma around it. People are like, "Oh, a lot of these mental health clients are going around and they're shooting up schools and ooh. First of all, no. Secondly, no, and third of all, no,
So much no. So
no,
much no.
no.
Yeah.
And we become desensitized whenever it comes to gun violence, whenever it comes to violence, whenever it comes to
Mm-hmm.
police violence, etc. But let's talk about mental health for a second. So,
Yeah.
whenever you are feeling like a quote unquote like an episode coming, so depression, anxiety, anything like that, what has been like? Has music been that outlet for you just to kind of like just release it? And then you're like, okay, do I really want to do this? Yes, I do want to do it because it's going to help other people. I've never wrote a song a day in my life, but I'm envisioning the way that is because that's kind of how I am with podcast episodes. I'm like, if I want to release this, I want to release it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know it might cause a controversy, but you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it anyway.
Totally.
So,
Totally hear you. No, I appreciate that question. Yeah. So I'll share first. Thanks for sharing with me about you. And I totally agree and relate to so much of what you just said. Um, so I'll share with you, I have OCD. And so that's something that I've struggled with for a long time. I feel like, for the last couple years, it's been the best managed that it's ever been before. which I'm really proud of. I've worked really, really hard on getting there. Doesn't mean it's perfect all the time, but it's a hell of a lot better than it was before. Um, but yes, to answer your question, yes, I have had many times where I honestly, even sometimes where I didn't even realize that it was my OCD that was causing me like distress, and ended up writing a song about it. Funny enough, okay, so let's see. I released a song last Friday called Mount Everest, which I'm excited to share about with you in a minute also, because it's also mental health related. But in 6 weeks from last Friday, I'm releasing another song, and that one's called Endlessly. And that song specifically is about like relationship OCD, basically. Um, I actually, when I wrote it, I don't think I realized that. When I wrote it, I think I thought I was just writing a song about my relationship, and I wasn't sure if it was the right relationship for me or not. And so I thought I just like needed a lot of reassurance from my now ex partner, um, because I wasn't sure if the relationship was right and da da da. I now, in hindsight, very very much realize that like I mean the song, it's called Endlessly because the last line of the chorus is literally reassure me endlessly. That is compulsion, compulsion, compulsion. Like,
Mhm.
the the obsession was, oh my god, is this the right relationship? Is he going to leave me? All of these things. And the compulsion was I needed reassurance. I asked for reassurance. I did, all got all the reassurance. And so I realize now that that song, it is not really even a breakup song. It is not even a both things were true, right? It wasn't the right relationship, and I was experiencing extreme relationship OCD in that relationship. And so that song in particular is really about my OCD and me realizing that, um, yeah, I just needed reassurance endlessly, literally, in the relationship. And again, both of those things were true, right? It wasn't the right relationship, and I was experiencing really bad relationship OCD. There's another song also that I'm releasing on my debut album that's going to come out in August. It's called Spiral. And that song is about just my OCD in general. And I definitely wrote that song. I wrote that song, I think, like a day or two after I had had a really great therapy session where I finally was realizing it was easier for me to catch myself when I started spiraling. And so the chorus of that song is like, I caught myself in a spiral just the other day. Finally, it's time for me to not push it away. My tendency is like, I have a obsession I do not enjoy and I push it away. But I've realized that the more you do that, the worse it spirals and the more it sticks. So that song was kind of all about me just like kind of accepting my OCD, not just like accepting it, but accepting also like the way to get over it is really to have to go through it. I mean, as cheesy as that is, you really do with OCD. And so, yeah, it's something I mean, I've struggled with for honestly most of my life, and I've only really had the right tools to manage it for the last maybe 5 or 6 years. So I'm really proud of myself for all the work that I've done to get to this point. And again, like not my journey's not over by any means. It's gonna, it's a lifelong journey to continue. It's a maintenance. But every time I, resist a compulsion or like identify the spiral, it gets easier to do it the next time. So, yeah, it's something I think I remember I had gone on a retreat for my student council when I was in high school. I think it was my junior year of high school. It was my junior year of high school. I had gone on a retreat, and I thought at the time, like I had been basically experiencing what I think now was like, I don't have depression, but I think I had experienced maybe a period of like a depressive period of time. And I had gone to this therapist at the time because I thought I didn't understand why I was like feeling sad and couldn't really get out of that and like just couldn't. Um, but then I learned I actually have OCD. And I think that part of the like depressive episode was more of a symptom of the OCD for me. And so yeah, it was really just it's been a lot of a learning journey for me.
Mhm.
But yes, the very long answer to your question is yes. When I am feeling certain ways, I absolutely write it out. And then I think later, similar to what you were saying about your podcast, right? Like later, I decide if it's something I'm ready to share or not. And I really do. If I try to be open, like and vulnerable, and share the true, my honest experience because other people are going through the same thing, and I know how isolating it can feel to not know that. So I do want to like be that, you know, to help people feel truly like less alone in the experience they're going through, even if there's some stigma attached to it. Like if I'm being totally honest with you, I'm a little nervous to release some of my songs on my album. They're really vulnerable. They're like, they're really about a lot of my own mental health struggles. It's very vulnerable. And I feel like my music cuts through a lot of even I could like talk about things, but I feel like when I write music, it really cuts through even like any fluff, and it really just like shows truly how I was feeling in that moment. And so, yeah, it's a little scary. It's vulnerable. But truly, like I said, like my favorite artists' music has gotten me through so many of my hard times that I've experienced in those mental health struggles and all of those things. And so, I truly, truly, truly hope that my music can do that for somebody else, whether it's one person or 100 people or 1,000 people, like whoever, however many people it is. If my music can truly help someone else get through what they're going through, that's success to me, truly.
Mhm. I need to make a note that I need to edit this. You were talking about OCD, and if I don't write things down, I forget it. And then I look at it and I'm like, okay, I have all these pieces of like I use like these little like notebooks, like these little notepads,
Totally.
like these things,
Mm-hmm.
for, like literally everything.
I
And then
have.
I have like umpteen thousand like sticky notes. Yep, I have umpteen thousand sticky notes everywhere. And
Yep.
then my brain goes in 20,000 directions. Like, okay, what was I supposed to be doing? Like,
Totally.
but don't write
I
it down. It doesn't get done.
totally understand. I am exactly the same way. If
But oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just say if I don't write things down or put it in my calendar, like it's just not happening. I don't remember that's happening. And honestly, I think that's a symptom of just like we're all so busy these days, which is a beautiful thing, but also like it's impossible to keep track of the crazy busy world we live in without like writing things down. I don't know how people who don't write things down do it. I really don't.
Yes. Okay. So let's jump back in.
Sure.
So whenever we think about, the state of the world, the state of everything that's going on right now, it obviously impacts mental health. And being in that sense of community is something that is incredibly crucial, incredibly important to think about. So have you gone to like you mentioned like before we began recording, you've been to a couple of the No King protests. So I
Mm-hmm.
would love to know how your community in your area is rising up, fighting back against like oppression and like attending protests and like fighting back. I'm just genuinely curious, have you been to
Totally.
those and how has your community shown up? Because there's also like ICE presence like literally
Right.
everywhere.
Right. Right.
But I'm just curious about like what's going on in your local community.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really proud of our community. Um, there's been so I live in the town of Santa Barbara. In this town, a spread across like it's not huge, but like spread across the entire town. I think there's about 90,000 people who live in the town. All three of the No Kings events that have happened in the last 6 months, or I guess almost, so the first one was in June or July of last year, so almost year. All three of them have had at least 12,000 people present at every single one, which I have been so, so proud to be in a community that genuinely cares as much about what's going on as I do. Like it really makes me proud to live in a place where people truly care. Even beyond the No Kings events, there's been protests, just like smaller ones organized by like Indivisible or other organizations, just smaller ones that have been happening sometimes on weekends. I've been to a few of those as well. There's been like a, no ICE presence protests as well. And just every time I go to them, I've heard people, and I'm sure you've heard the same thing. A lot of people are like, well, what does protesting do? Yeah. It's like, what does protesting do? And always like my response, and what I've heard other people say is not like my original thoughts necessarily, but like, my response that I like to share with people about what I've heard other people share. A couple things. One is being there is so reinvigorating and feeling so hopeful, knowing that you are not alone in community, right? Like you said, community is such a huge, huge, huge piece of resistance. And it's like the fuel that we need to keep resisting, because thinking that we're the only ones doing it is exactly the thing that gets us stuck in doing nothing. Um, so, like, knowing that you're in a community of people who also care just as much is so helpful. Um, the other couple things, I actually heard I was watching a creator, and I wish I could remember who it was to give them some credit, but there was a creator that I follow who I was watching, kind of talk about protests as well, and also showing, like, not just reminding yourself and your own community that you are all, in this together, but also showing other countries in the world, like people in other countries in the world, that we're not just okay with what's going on, right? Protesting can't be the only thing we're doing, but it has to be one of them. And for those who are able, who have access and who feel safe to go to a protest like that, which I know is not everyone, and that's okay. Um, for those who can be there, it's really important to show our government and other world governments and world people around the world, that we're not okay with what's going on. We're not just sitting doing nothing. It's not okay. Even if it's nothing other than a big statement to say this is not acceptable, and we are all in this together, I think are some of the most important aspects of the protests. And so all to say, I think it's also really, like I said, personally, like every time I go, I feel reinvigorated in my own resistance of what's going on. You know, unfortunately, there actually has been a lot of ICE activity in Southern California. I'm sure I know across the country, but like particularly in Southern California as well. It's been horrible and devastating and scary and truly like in my community as well. I mean, literally, one day I was working. I'm in my office right now. I was working, and I'm pretty sure I heard the three whistles to indicate that there was ice presence. Like, and I actually like ran out on the street to try to see if there was anything going on, so I could at least film and be a bystander. I didn't see anything, so it must have been farther away than I expected, but or maybe I just misheard. But truly, I know from following other local organizations that there has been, unfortunately, a lot of local ice presence, and it's been terrible. I mean, it truly, literally is ripping families and communities apart. Just absolutely beyond awful. And so I've been trying also to get involved, like both with like national organizations, like I mentioned, the ACLU is one that I feel very passionately about. I appreciate what they're doing in the courts, and fighting for laws and the rights to be like legally restored, as well as I really have been trying to get more involved with some local organizations. Um, there's one called 805 on DocuFund, which is a local organization that helps. It's a nonprofit that helps families who've been affected by ICE, and helps, or I guess just anyone who has been affected by immigration challenges, in the local area. And so it's a really incredible organization that like literally helps direct, kind of a mutual aid type of organization that helps direct funds directly to people who need it in the community. Um, so I think, a combination of like local and national assistance, um, just doing as much as we can. I often, honestly, I feel, especially sometimes when I'm working on my music stuff, I often feel like, oh, I'm just like here in my house, safe, working on my music. Like I feel blessed, I feel lucky, I feel guilty. I feel guilty that there's so many people who are experiencing so many terrible things right now. And I'm like, why do I get to just like be here safe? And again, I'm so grateful for that. Um, but I think about that a lot. And it just keeps fueling me to be like, okay, like what more can I be doing to help? Because I know also that like I am only one individual and I am not the only person doing anything right now. And I'm so grateful to be one of many people who like truly care, like yourself, truly care about what's going on. Um, and always trying to remind myself to like, to keep doing more too and truly like try to, help as much as I can in whatever ways I can. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a critical point in time that we, the people, have the power. We do.
Yeah,
We have the power. Congress has the power of the purse. And there's been a lot of cuts to crucial programs. US aid is one of them. Mental health funding and
totally.
suicide prevention is another one. But I have, I just have like one more question for you. But what inspires you and what gives you hope in a time that feels so dark and like scary, right?
Mm,
Like let's be real, because we are in some like very trying times. It is. It's a lot of
yeah,
emotions. It's a lot
yeah.
of uncertainty.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I guess the better way to phrase this is, what gives you hope in times of uncertainty,
Mm,
and what inspires you to keep pushing forward? I know obviously your music, that's obviously a huge thing, but
mm-hmm.
what else? What else keeps you going?
That's such a great question. I kind of want to answer it from like two lenses,
Yeah.
sort of. So the first thing, it's just funny that you say it that way, because I feel like that is exactly like uncertainty is and the difficulty in tolerating it is exactly what my OCD stems from. So it's like funny that not funny, but just like it's kind of funny the way that you phrase that, and also that my answer to it is like I literally just am an eternal optimist. I really am, which is the funny. It's kind of almost sounds like an oxymoron for me to be unable to deal with like with uncertainty, but also know somewhere in my heart that like everything will eventually be okay. It's a
Mhm.
very weird thing, but I truly, honestly, I think if I don't believe that everything that like good will win and that like hope is worthwhile and truly that we still can make things better, like I just feel like life feels pointless, you know? Like to me,
Mhm.
like bettering ourselves and the world is like what we're here for, and helping each other and connecting with each other and other people, and like I just can't I don't and can't believe like we are in a terrible time, 100%. We are in a terrible time right now. Like this is a timeline I did not want to live through. Um yeah, I know most of us did not. But I also like I was feeling really hopeless about that too for a little bit. And I had seen again other creators, and I really wish I could remember like who exactly was saying this so I can credit them properly, but I had seen some other creator kind of giving the perspective of like things have been like terrible things have been happening throughout the history of humanity. Like every generation of people has experienced some terror of some sort. And particularly historically marginalized groups like African Americans who were like somehow kept hope that freedom would, when people were enslaved, somehow kept hope still that freedom would eventually be there and fought for it, continued to fight for it, right? And kept believing that it was possible. How could we now, in this moment, give up hope when folks like that, or any other folks who have been historically marginalized and who have come out on top and, survived and made it through and thrived, how how can we, it's like almost like we owe it to them and to ourselves to keep believing that there is better because they didn't give up, so we can't either. We don't get to. That's really like how I interpreted what the creator was sharing, and I just that really resonated with me. um I just feel like, yeah, I mean that's exactly it, right? There's humanity Like if we never believe that things can get better, then like we will accept whatever is happening, you know? And so I truly believe like we can and will demand the world that we want to live in, and we will create it because we want it. We will it because we need it and we want it, and we believe that things can be better, and we will make them that way. And you, like you said earlier, revolutions do not happen overnight, 100%. And
And they won't be televised.
right, right. It won't be one big event. It will be all sorts of little small things along the way that all build up to this better world that we are going to live in. And I absolutely believe that. I feel like, I don't know, honestly, it sounds probably silly, but I just like, I cannot allow myself to believe that things will continue to get worse and worse and worse, even if they might for a while. But I have to believe that eventually they will get better because we will make them better, because we will not stand for anything other than that. Like, we cannot and will not give up because everyone in history hasn't either, you
And
know?
our future generations are depending on us, just
Right.
like we depended on our generations before us. Our
Exactly.
future generations are going to look back at this timeline and they're going to laugh their asses off. I'm going to tell you that
Totally.
right now. They're like, oh, Americans didn't do enough. And we're not mad enough. We're not.
Totally.
And this is a warning shot as to what could come if we don't get our shit together.
Totally.
To put it lightly, right? To like tone it down and like water it down. But I think what you were saying just a little bit ago about marginalized communities have been rising up for decades,
Mm-hmm.
for literally decades, and they didn't give up. And they're oftentimes, and I'll be the first to say it, they're still
Oh,
fighting a lot of
100%.
those exact same
100%.
battles.
100%.
And systemic oppression of marginalized voices, I think, is something that people oftentimes overlook because they're like, oh, it's not going to, it doesn't impact me or it doesn't impact anybody that I
Right.
love. Well, in reality, everything that's going on right now, it does impact every single one of us, regardless if we want to believe it or not. My mom is not very political, like literally at all. And even like she's like, fuck guys, apologize. Like she's literally the first one to say it. Like she's never been
Yeah.
political a day in my life, but even she recognizes it. And that's it. We don't have to live in a state of constant fear. We
Totally.
don't. We don't.
Totally.
And I told somebody in our comment section, and I've said it a couple times on this podcast, I'm going to say it again. The comments section, we have almost 400,000 followers on
Mm-hmm.
social media, which is incredible, right?
Yeah.
But it also opens the door because sometimes we tend to go viral.
Mm-hmm.
And the comments section, and I know my co-founder Gwen, like I mentioned earlier, she tends to go a little viral too on some of her posts. People in the comments section are the exact reason for why we need the Department of Education and why we need to fully fund public education, expand it,
Mm-hmm.
because they
Mm-hmm.
do not understand
Mm-hmm.
literally all. They don't understand due process. Like, do you talk about the Constitution?
Totally.
You preach about the Constitution, but you also don't know the right to due process is protected under the Fourth and the 15th Amendment. It's so important that it's mentioned multiple times in our
Totally.
U.S. Constitution. Like,
100%.
and then I think
100%.
also these states that are passing where they're going to require the Ten Commandments to be posted in classrooms. Texas, I think Louisiana is another state. I could be
Insane.
misquoting that, but there's several states that I know are getting ready to post the Ten Commandments, and it's like, great. So are we gonna have a Quran in the rooms too? Are we going to
Right, right.
have
Every religion's texts.
everything? And
Yeah.
then they're like, oh, you can't fly your Palestinian flag, but you can fly the Confederate flag and have no issue with that.
Yeah. It's
Like
insane.
let's be real here for a
Totally.
second.
Because honestly, at the crux of it, truly, it's not that the people who are proponents of this, they don't actually believe in true freedom of speech or freedom of religion. It's
Only
that
when it
only when
benefits
it benefits them.
them.
Precisely. Precisely. Like, that is just, yeah, that drives me off the wall. And it's interesting that you mentioned, I'm sure I can only imagine with, 400,000 followers and lots of viral posts that you're going to get some people commenting some pretty insane things.
Oh Lord.
That's actually what I wanted to circle back to from earlier, and I forgot about. So when I was promoting Why Do You Care, I had decided that I wanted to use that as an opportunity also to actually like share facts and information about how some of the things, the terrible laws that have been passed or
Mhm.
repealed, have been affecting people in the country. So one post I made, basically, literally all it said was, since Roe v. Wade was overturned, maternal deaths in states that have extremely or have further restricted reproductive health care rights, maternal deaths have increased significantly, right? There are so many statistics showing that that's the case.
Literally.
I didn't even mention the word abortion. I didn't say, I mean, literally, I said that have furthered reproductive restrictions have increased maternal mortality. Didn't even say I was for or against anything. I was just stating a fact. Um,
Mhm.
I had so many people in those comments, not just coming after the concept, but coming after me personally. Like there were some. So here's the content warning from the beginning, if I can curse
Yeah.
for a second.
Oh, absolutely. I encourage it.
Verbatim. This is verbatim one of the comments from the post I posted on Instagram, and it cross posted to Facebook. And of course, Facebook is a breeding ground for lots of silly comments.
It's the MAGA
Somebody,
grannies.
yeah, somebody literally commented, "Fuck you, murderer," to me
Oh
on that
God.
post. And I said, "Sorry, what? That is absolutely insane behavior. Insane behavior. First of all, whether or not I had said I had had an abortion or not, didn't mention, didn't say, didn't even say I was supporting it. That was probably implied, but like that's what a I mean, what a crazy leap. And for them to even say to think that and to say that, I mean, what a just insane. But that wasn't even the worst of it. I mean, some people just forgot about the topic and just decided to go after me, which I'm sure you've probably experienced as well. There were some people, somebody wrote on there literally like, "Shut up, fatty." And I'm grateful that I've done enough work with my own body image to like not have to found that funny and like not have been too affected by that. But that's just like insane. I cannot even fathom. If anyone said that to my face, I mean, they would never because they have a screen to keep them safe. And it's just crazy to me that people feel like they can say stuff like that. And even to you know, I think to back to the point of everything that we were talking about, education, 100% yes, but also just empathy. I mean, people need to learn how how to just literally care about other people even if it doesn't affect you. Like what a concept to care that a person who maybe isn't like you also is safe and has rights. Like, what a concept. I truly believe that we're at such a loss of empathy right now. And I genuinely, truly hope that like my music can help bring about a little bit more empathy, whether it's someone having empathy for like struggles I've been through, or if it makes them think about someone they know, or if it makes them think about themselves and hope other people will have empathy for them. Like I hope that that's what my music can do. All to say with the terrible comments, the funny thing there is, I'm a songwriter. So after I saw those comments that day, I had a writing session and I said to my co-writers, "Hey guys, um these people commented all these crazy things. Can we write a song about it? Cuz I'm just mad that these people are just being nuts." And we did, and it's going to be on the deluxe version of my album and I can't wait. It's called Stranger on the Internet. It's I'm so excited. Like I'm proud of myself for being able to take a shitty situation and turn it into something that I hope will be positive for other people and hopefully like other creators like yourself too who experience something similar and just, we can just be like, "You know what? It's their problem." Like truly this is like a projection and reflection of them. Has nothing to do with us. But it sucks that people are like that, and it sucks that people feel emboldened, especially now in this current climate, to, like, to be doing stuff like that. Because when the president does crazy stuff like that, it makes people feel like it's okay, and it is not. It's not okay
Those
at all.
freaking 3 a.m. like unhinged true social post is
Totally.
insane.
Insane. Truly insane. It makes people
But
think it's okay, and it's not. It's not,
I
you
do
know?
feel a sense of hope. I feel a sense of joy. I don't know if it's I just want to believe it or if it's actually really here. I don't know. I guess it's one of those things. I guess time will tell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, again, I want to say thank you for obviously having this conversation with me. This has been really eye opening for me, and it's kind of like I've been able to like shut everything else away for a minute and just kind of like come back down to earth and reality. I've been interviewing candidates for a candidate series that we're doing because I believe that progressive voices across the country need to run at all levels of elections, no matter how big or how small it is. All the way,
Mm-hmm.
I've said it numerous times and I've talked to the other candidates, but like your local water board,
Mm-hmm.
like water protectors. I mean,
Totally.
look what's happening in Flint,
Totally.
Michigan with the undrinkable water. Like it's
Totally.
dirty, it's filthy, it's
100%. Or like local school
disgusting.
boards, right? Like people who are
And
running on local school boards and all of those
yes,
things.
because
Yeah,
Moms for Liberty needs to be beat in these elections,
exactly.
which they
100%.
they are losing their elections left and right. And but there's just there's a lot. We need to protect LGBTQ students. We need to protect marginalized people. We need to protect disabled people.
Mm-hmm.
There's it's just wild. It really is. And whenever I
Yeah.
sit back and think about everything, and I think about my grandfather being in the military.
Mm.
I come from a line of military, also come in a line or along that similar
Mm-hmm.
like life experiences. My grandmother was a survivor, and my
Mm.
mom was a survivor, and it comes down to protecting survivors. I mean, we see what's happening with the Epstein files.
Mm-hmm.
That's obviously a big thing right now, and I say that as a survivor myself. But again, I want to say thank you for coming on the podcast. That's all I got for the
Of
time
course.
being. I'm sure
No,
we
oh my
can do
gosh.
multiple other
No, this was
conversations,
lovely. I
but
truly thank you for having me. Honestly, this was such a I've been feeling really overwhelmed, if I'm being totally honest with you. I guess we're talking about mental health, right? We're talking about
yes,
stigma around mental health.
yes,
So I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been feeling so overwhelmed lately between my regular day job work, my music, trying to keep up with what's going on in the world and help out, trying to be a good wife, partner, daughter, friend, like all of these things. I've been feeling really overwhelmed. And this really gave me such a wonderful opportunity to like just be present with you and really talk about these things that are so important to me and important just in general in the world. And I'm so grateful to you for this opportunity to chat with you. This has been honestly healing for me too, to talk about it and just to be present with you doing this. So I really appreciate your time.
absolutely. Please take care of yourself out there, okay?
Thank you. Same to you. Same to you, truly. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope the storms aren't too bad.
Oh God. Yes, I know. Thank you. I appreciate you. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.